Hi everybody, this is Lynn Solong from Enlightened Conversations with Lynn Solong. I want to welcome you to our show today. I've got a really special guest for you, for everyone actually, and it's really exciting for me to finally get to talk with Barb face to face. So here is Barbara Songbird. She's a very special person. She does a whole lot of beautiful creative things to do with spirit, and that includes gardening. She writes poetry and children's stories. She creates healing tools. She does a lot of specialised craft work for one-on-one for people. She does hands-on healing, and she also likes to use vibrational sound and tone. So Barbara, would you like to just tell everybody a little bit about you in about 5 or 10, sort of minutes? Just a little bit of a description about what you do, how you got into your spiritual pathway, and then I'm going to weave us back into how art and creativity are a natural part of the flow, for me at least, in my spiritual work and my daily life.
Okay, I first got into spirituality several decades ago for what I thought was a partner, and it turned out to be actually for me. It did help him, but I moved on, and I then accessed other forms of healing as well, and it's interwoven with myself, my life, what I do for other people. I call it barbarising things with spirit. So it's a really nice way to live, because the more you can help somebody else, the more you're helping yourself as well.
Yeah, I think it's a really wonderful way of looking at it. Yeah, I love that. I do a similar thing myself. It's like how we be of service, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's a self-nurturing thing, because it's an ongoing, it's a cyclic thing, because what was I saying to somebody on the computer the other day? It's a little bit of a secret, but it's not really. People tell me I give too much, but what happens is when you give to somebody, you enjoy receiving in the first place, you then give, and then you get even more joy, and then you end up receiving from spirit as a thank you. So it's not really a secret, but I just say, oh, it's a secret. And people say, oh, really? Tell me all about it. So it gives them something to listen to, and they're excited, and then they receive in a lot better manner too.
I think it's really beautiful, because it's like one of the laws of reciprocity and the law of attraction, isn't it? We're all in this circle, and I think a lot of people forget about, we give, and women tend to do a lot of giving, and we forget to receive. And actually, when you stop the receiving part of it, you're actually blocking that natural flow of the circle of life, and the giving and the receiving part of it is a gift, not only to whomever you're giving it to, but also to yourself. So when we do what you do and what I do, then that creates this beautiful space for everybody to be able to walk away with something that benefits them and their life. At least that's what I find. And I think it's
energy.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah. So what I'd like to do is just weave back now into how you come about creating the children's stories that you do, or the art and so forth. Like, I have my own process, and I'll share that a little bit about that as well. But for you, where does the inspiration come from when you're going to create something, be it a piece of art or a book for children to read, or maybe there's tools, like I create tools like drums and rattles and wands and stuff like that. So what's the first spark of the creation for you? Where does that happen?
It's like giving them a tool to work with. It's like creating something that they can connect with and then interact with, and to transfer it onto their own lives and for their hearts. Like, one of the stories is about a Pegasus and a unicorn. Now, the unicorn's on the earth, metaphysical plane, and the Pegasus is in the air, and never the twain shall meet. But guess what? One little boy and one little girl actually see each other, and they fall for each other. And it's all about how their love actually opens and allows and expands a meshing of true spirit and a love that really blossoms. And in the end, it's a lovely story. It's just absolutely beautiful. And it allows kids to know that it doesn't matter what you look like, who you are, what you are, where you come from. You've got the ability to do what you need to do in your life, and to create something that's absolutely magical. Yeah.
Fantastic. I love that. It sounds like a really beautiful story, and I'd love to read it myself. What I'd like to do is go back to before the story, before you actually created the book or however you manifested it into the everyday world. What actually was the spark of the inspiration? Like for me, I can literally be driving the car and suddenly I'll get all these ideas for a painting to do, for instance. And I've got a few people that work with me in an art class. So the ideas will start coming through from spirit about, okay, I've been talking about this is what a medicine shield looks like, for instance, when we're doing the shamanic work. So a medicine shield represents your power that you use and draw upon, including your spiritual allies. And I'll find for myself when I do that, what I get the inspiration for in here and in my heart, what I can visualise isn't always exactly how it turns out on my canvas at the end of the day, which is fine. It's like that art in motion, a bit like that circle we were talking about before. So if we go right back before Pegasus and the little boy and the little girl, what was that spark that got you onto the path to actually write that book?
Probably in the same way that happens to you when you're driving. What I do is that I sit and I let my mind open up and I just watch the clouds. And because my mind is then open, spirit goes, aha, she's at a moment where she can receive in a really great way. So they then give me the ideas. When I do the mandalas, I set the intent for them.
Yeah.
Or I just do one and I see what comes out for a person for a certain reason. It might be a gift or it might be something that they've asked me to do. So I then do the circle and the dot and then I just measure it up and then I then close my eyes and ask spirit to come through me to be done. So, and then gradually I just start ruling. And some of the lines are freehand. And then I then gradually rub it all out when I've got the actual basic shape as light as possible. And then I start colouring it in. And usually there's beings in there. Usually there's an animal in there. Or usually there's something in there. And the person goes, oh my gosh, you know, this, that, and the other. How did you know? Well, I didn't know. But because I allow myself to be the instrument or the conduit for spirit to come through to allow this person to connect. It's a tool. They're all tools.
They are indeed.
Yeah. And that's how it happens. I just wait until I've got an empty space in there and sometimes there's a little idea and it's like, oh, I wonder. And I wonder if there's been a really big little sentence in my life, I can assure you. I wonder if it's like, go for it. The spirit doesn't actually tell you outright. They just give you little hints because that's how we're empowered. We get to choose. Yeah. So
and I find I'm working it probably in a very similar way. It's like the inspiration can come from all kinds of things out there in the universe or something that I'm working on personally, or maybe someone says they want to create something or could I make them a dream catcher? And you kind of get an overview. And I know for me, even when I'm channeling, the way it works is my human self, if you like, moves over and gets out of the road. And then I feel the downloads coming through from spirit. I'll get like an overview. So as I'm looking at you, for instance, Barbara, what might happen is I have like a translucent screen and then all this stuff starts flowing down in and around you. And I know that's all part of the energy, the inspiration for whatever I'm going to create with either a dream catcher or a painting or whatever it might be. And then colours and stuff like that will start to become clearer for me. As long as I keep the human self out of the road, it's like the clearer channel I become. And then I'll hear spirit in some way, shape or form, and I might start to see more things about, okay, this is how we're going to make it. So I love that your kind of template for creation and my template for creation, they're quite similar really, and yet they're different because you've got your unique ways and I've got mine, which is as it should be. And I just find it a beautiful process. So I'm really fascinated hearing about how you do that. When you're going about writing though, do you find there's any difference with your creativity and with the inspiration that comes through for that compared to the way you might create something in craft or art, for instance?
Yes, because as you write, it seems to come through directly. Whereas when I'm doing drawing, I never know. Sometimes when I'm doing the mandalas, I think, oh, this is a bit messy. And Spirit's going, oh, you think so? I'm thinking, all right. I always stick my left, if I do any healing or do any work or anything like that, I always stick my ego under my left foot and I stomp on it. I stand on it. That's the thing I do. And then I ask for the highest good of all to be involved. And that's the two things that must be done if I do any sort of metaphysical stuff or anything that's connected to spirit, because ego or me, the human side of me that likes to wander around and ask questions in inappropriate times probably, or get in the way with spirit, then gets put aside. And I remember, because my foot starts to itch, and actually I feel something underneath it. It's got nothing to do with the fact I've got a numb foot, but that's beside the point. But it actually itches. I get a tingle and it's like, oh, okay, yep, I'm getting in the way again. So
it's your little sort of signal from spirit to come back into alignment. Let that little human self get out of the road.
Yeah, it doesn't happen very often.
Yes, I hear what you're saying. And I think that we probably all those of us that are understanding that we're working with spirit as we're creating whatever we're creating, have our signs and signals to get out of the road. Like sometimes I'll feel something tickling me on the arm or nudging me, or my ear starts to get really warm. And if my ear's getting really warm, I know there's a big message about to come through. I need to move over and allow that energy to flow. And whether I'm writing or painting or in a meditation circle or whatever, that's the signal. Here we go. Let's just go with the flow kind of thing. And it's funny how they work with us, isn't it?
Yes, it is. And it's clicking that is actually it's actually a message. And it's connected to spirit. Because for years and years, I used to think I was a bit balmy, to say the least, because I just had my own thoughts in my head. And other people would say, oh, it's spirit, it's different, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, no, it's never been any different. It's always been feeling as though it's come from me or in me. And that's how I know I'm a channel that actually is just working through the self most of the time, not as a separate entity or anything like that. I can actually, the only time I've ever heard a voice is a German gentleman, and he's a doctor, and it's when I'm in with a group of healers and I've got hands on, and he will actually tell me in a German voice, and I've got a terrible fright that time. I thought, oh, who's that? That's the only time it's ever happened. And so I know he's one of my guides. So, yeah.
That's a really great way, a beautiful segue, if you like, into another aspect of working with spirit. Because I know that there are folk out there that believe that we're actually separate to the creator, to the divine. There are folk like yourself, obviously, and me that believe, and I know for myself, the analogy I tend to use with people is that we're all like on a diamond. So there's the creator for me is this massive big diamond. I'm a facet, you're a facet, everybody out there is some aspect of the divine. We aren't separate. We are one with that being. And then we're in this human form, an expression of that. So how I choose to express myself as that aspect comes through in a slightly different way than what you do, obviously, Barbara. And I know for me, there's a difference that I feel in the quality of the energy. I think that's the way to put it. When my human self is in the road, there can be doubts and questions and am I good enough and all of that. When I get that part out of the road and that divine part of me that we all have, every single person on the planet has it, there's a difference that I feel in the energy and the signals, the messages that are coming through. There's like no distortion, and my heart, the energy kind of swells, like there's this huge love. And even it doesn't matter whether I'm writing, whether I'm doing a healing, whether I'm just out there enjoying the everyday world with my puppies, the difference is for me at times quite profound. Whereas my human self, that lower self, ego, whatever we want to call it, can feel like it's trying to put the brakes on, if you like. So do you ever get that kind of experience with it all?
Yes. At times sometimes I can feel a little bit funny, and I think, what's going on? And it's like, oh, I need to get myself to one side and to really actually trust. And open and expand to this experience. And it's the trusting. When the tone came through for me, the sound healing I do, when it came through 27 years ago, I never met any more tones. I just had to trust. I'd done my akin, sashim, and I just had to trust that this sound that I wanted to make was okay, that I could go ahead. And I worked quite blindly with it, as in human blindness, but not spiritually blind, totally open, because it's a trust issue. With the self, with the humanness, with our doubts, our old tapes we learn, how we've been brought up. It's coming of age, I would call it, coming of a true age of attainment with spirit and melding and working and believing.
Yeah, I think they're key things, aren't they? Once you learn to differentiate what happens when that direct link is absolutely clear, and as Black Elk put it, we become a hollow bone tube for spirit to work through. When you're that clear, the human self, the lower part, can't actually get in the road and interfere like it might normally would. And so you literally are channeling, if you like, or just being your really divine self and bringing through, whether it's a healing, a sound, or like I channel, you channel, the creativity. And people are all creative in their own ways. I mean, people that get out there and do the most fabulous cooking. To me, if you're really in your Zen place with that food that you're creating for other people, then you've directly channeled that light and that love into the food, and people can tell the difference. So that's important, as being able to do the healing work that you or I do, or that other folk do, or any work that's out there. I can remember an analogy, a story from many years ago when I was in high school in Perth, and we were asked in the class by our teacher, what did we want to do when we grew up? And one of the kids, actually, he was being a bit funny, but I think he was also being self-conscious, was saying, oh, I just want to go out there and be a street sweeper. And the teacher just stopped the class and said, you know what? If you are the best street sweeper in the world, you have given us all such a gift, because you're keeping our place, our village, our home, our town, our city clean. And I know it really struck a chord in me, because it just made me remember, whatever work anyone does out there, it's all a gift if we do it with love, isn't it? And,
it is.
And hearing that you're the same, and that you like connecting with that love energy, for want of a better term, and it is the highest power in the universe, the enlightened part, if you like. It seems to then take what we're doing, what we're offering to other people and to ourselves, to a whole different level, doesn't it? How do you find that for you?
What it does for me, when anybody's talking truth or something, or imparting something really profound, I just get goosebumps all over, and I know that at that moment in time, spirit's really strong. I get the shakes if it's the Christ energy. There's different signals that happen, and they're really, really unique, and really, I just think, I'm home. And I look at the person, I grin, and I just say, oh, you are so out there, so wonderful, because you're really connecting, and you're allowing us to connect too. And they look surprised, and they go, oh, really? And I think people don't realise that how wonderful they can be and are most of the time. And if they realise that, then their self-doubts, or their moments of nation, their moments of chastising themselves, or their moments of buying into stuff that isn't helpful or of the love energy, aren't as much. They don't creep in. Yep, that's it. And so I always say to people, oh, you're looking stunning today. And I'll buy myself a flower, and I'll come across somebody who's not having the best day, and it's usually an elderly person sometimes, and I'll just say, I've got a flower and it's for you. Oh, no, darling, you bought it for yourself. And I said, I might have, but this is a double whammy. I got to receive, and now you do too. And I said, and I get to feel good about that as well. And so they go off, and they have a nicer day. Anything like that is absolutely just, it absolutely needs to be done for people. I can't tell people how often just saying something like that day after day I see lovely elderly ladies looking absolutely brilliant, and I tell them that while I'm shopping, and they go, "Oh, darling, I haven't had that said to me for so long." And I think, where's your relatives? Where's the people that care for you? So we need to care for everybody. We need to have the
tricky, isn't it? Yeah, and I think that, you know, if I just go back a wee bit to what you were talking about with that, because I agree with you, Barbara. I think it's really important that we do cherish the folk in the everyday world and let them know, no matter how old they are, what culture or what gender, they're still beautiful, loved, loving and lovable. But what I want to weave it slightly back to, because it was just making me feel into a little bit more about what's going on in the everyday world at the moment. And we know that there's been stuff going on globally that has been very unpleasant, very fearful, if you like, for a lot of folk for very good reasons. And one of the things that I would love to do is to see folk pulling back from the fear-based media like the news and stuff like that, even stuff that goes on in social media. Come back into you, come back into your heart and into the everyday world of you, and just start to see the love and the light that you are. And this is not airy-fairy stuff we're talking about. I truly believe, and I know in my heart, that every being on the planet has that spark of the divine, for instance, in them. So we can gift ourselves and each other the opportunity to talk with or be witness to that love light that is in every single being, even for the people that are the so-called world leaders that are promoting a bit of war and mayhem at the moment. I ask energetically and for spirit, show me their light, show me their love, so I can work and respond with that, rather than all the negativity going on there, or the folk that believe that you've got to have power over others, or that you've got to wear the latest clothes that somebody's tweeted about on whatever. I mean, it's just silliness, really, I think, when it comes down to it. When instead, if we go and see, here's this beautiful flower that I've just bought, and by the way, my gift is to give that to you now, because I've already experienced the joy of it, and I can see that its light and your light are matching. So I love what you did there. I think that was a really beautiful way to just show people that we can get what might be a momentary experience for us with something like buying flowers, and then to give them to somebody else is saying, my heart light recognises your heart light. Where can we meet? Where can we actually then come to a place of just feeling more joy in our lives, rather than alone or frightened or angry or whatever we might be? And more of us that can do that. Let's issue a little challenge to everybody out there. We invite you to go out, everyone, after you've watched our show, and in your life from that next week onwards, when this will go to air, to actually go out there and make a difference to 3 people. Just find 3 random people in your world that you can go out there and give them one little gift of love with no expectations of anything in return. They might not choose to accept it either, and that's okay. But just one little gift of love to 3 different people, and allow them to pay it forward in their own way, and just see what you can do with that. How does that feel for you, Barb?
Brilliant.
Yeah, so we can have some playtime. Because Barbara and I both like to play. We've both got a bit of that wild, cheeky, creative energy that doesn't want to just be stagnant. We like to try a little bit of this and a little bit of that in our daily worlds. And yeah, so let me just go into that then. For you, because I truly believe for all of us that spiritual practices are part of everyday living. So what's one way that you would share with others to bring a bit more of that creative spiritual energy into their daily lives and actually have a bit of fun with it?
I quite often, with girlfriends, go to their place, have a cup of tea, and then I'll look at them and I'll say to them, you know, has anybody told you how wonderful your energy is, how much you light up my life, how dear you are to me, and how often I really love to hear from you? And they look at me and they say, oh, we love you so much, we love you being in our lives, and we just really like being with you, Barbara. And I said, yes, but it's reciprocal. That's how I feel about you. So, and then I look at them and I say, when's the last time you said that to somebody? And they go, oh. And I said, okay, meet you next week, same place. So, and they go, and they ring me up and say, oh, I went and I said to my girlfriend, oh, the reaction on her face, oh, I haven't seen her light up like that for so long, it's not funny. And I said, there you go. That's called blossoming, love. And you're making sure they're...
Sorry, how would you bring blossoming into some of the creations then? So if you get somebody approaching you to create for them a mandala or a painting, how would you tune into the blossoming of that particular person, or maybe they're gifting it to somebody else? What do you see? What kind of process do you go through with that to bring that energy in, so that whatever it is you make is a mirror, if you like, of that person's inner energy and their outer energy?
Right. Well, what I do is I close my eyes and I tune in. Saying tuning in is just actually inviting. I invite spirit. I invite their guides or the spirits that are around them and my guides to commune with each other and to allow me to bring through to the highest possible good of all. And the intent is to create something beautiful for that person, so that it is a healing, nurturing, enlightening experience for them. So, and then I go in and I create whatever it is. And it's interesting because they go, oh, how did you know that's one of my that's my set of favourite colours, and I love this, and look at that, that looks like such and such, that reminds me of so-and-so. So it takes them on a journey, because I've been on a journey, and I thank them. I say, thank you so much. And they say, but you're the one who's done the work. And I said, no, there wasn't any work involved, I can assure you. There was time involved, but what happens is that I am nurtured as well. And that's what I tell them. I was able to blossom. For me to blossom so that you can blossom. And out of it comes a nurturing experience for all involved. So
how do you come into the creative process of it? Like, I know, for instance, if I'm going on a shaman's walk, for instance, with people, because I love taking people on magical mystery tours. And so a shaman's walk can be like that for folk who haven't remembered what they were like as a child, the childlike part of us that's really curious, it's always there. So I know if I'm taking people on a shaman's walk, what I'll do is send them out after we've done some ceremony, prayers and so forth, set the heart intent for what they're going to do. While they're off doing their thing, I'm tuning into each of them, whoever's gone with me, and I'll sit down and I'll do a drawing for them. And so I asked to be shown what's the spirit medicine that's really good for that person at this particular time, that might be just something to encourage them or support them on their daily life. And when I do that, I get surprised at, it might be animals that'll come through. It could be beings from the upper realm, for instance, like ascended masters or dragons or what have you, or it might be that the plant people that are around in the location where we are start talking with me, and butterflies are moving around and whatever. And they in some way will then become part of the art that I create. And again, I just get out of the road and allow my hands to start doing the drawing. So if I turn that back to you, Barbara, how do you actually get your download, if you want to call it that, to whatever then is going to be coming out on the paper or the canvas or in the mandalas? What's the process there? Just give people an idea out there in the everyday.
It just seems to come through my hands like you. It's really quite uncanny in a way, I suppose. I quite often don't get a picture. I just keep drawing if I'm doing the mandalas. If I'm doing something else for somebody, if I do past life readings, I see it as a film in the back of my head. It plays out like a film, and then I write it out. I used to write it out. I've got books full of them, but now I just talk it. And then Spirit tells me whether or not whatever has come through is working for the person or not. and whether or not they need to cut the ties connected to this, because our brain is like a cellular memory. It holds past lifetime stuff in it as well, and sometimes it can be working for us, and sometimes it doesn't work as well as it could. So it's time to actually be empowered to cut that tie. So that's how I work with different things. There's different ways Spirit works with me with different things. And with the mandalas, I do not see the picture until it's finished. It's the same as the toning. It's weird. The Spirit just actually, I work with a blindfold on most of the time, and I've just had to learn to trust. And sometimes I get pictures, not often.
Yeah, I love that, because I can really tune into what you're saying and get my own visual of it, if you like, on your process and how it's working for you. And I guess I'm similar in that it can be like literally the blank canvas that people talk about, or the blank page that where's the writing going to come from if you're a writer. And then suddenly the energy just starts flowing. And it's like you're the observer, isn't it? You're watching what's going on. You're watching the words that are coming out that you're typing or writing, or the picture that you're drawing, whether it's a mandala or a painting. And suddenly there's this image, this thing in front of you. And I look at it sometimes and just wonder, wow, where did that come from? That is just amazing. Even with the words that I write, I'll go back sometimes, and a lot of us keep journals and stuff like that. I haven't for a while, but I do write for magazines and stuff. And I'll read something and I think, wow, I've got a sort of theme in mind that I wanted to get across to people. And then I'm in a zone and I just stay totally focused on the keyboard or the pencil or whatever it is I'm creating with. And the end product is often so far removed from what I thought I might have started with. And I kind of love the way it evolves like that. You're grinning. I know that spontaneity that just comes in. It's like, yep, move out of the side, girl, go away, just let it flow and let it be. And it literally is this amazing working process then, isn't it?
Yeah, well, when people are talking to me like you were just doing, I get, and they get this, what are you thinking or thinking you're doing? No, you're not doing nothing. That's why I crack up sometimes. And sometimes they do things like they show the Ascended Masters playing cards, and they're being patient and waiting for the person to wake up and do what they probably could do to the best of their ability and nurture their inner selves and their metaphysical and bring out the very best of their creativity. And it's like they're not quite having a puff because that's out, but it's like a cigarette, but it's like, come on, mate, we're getting a bit bored here. And they give me these visions in my head and it cracks me up. That's why quite often I'll be grinning away while somebody's talking because there's these really weird pictures and accents going through my head.
I think that's wonderful. That just shows me, well, I know my experience of it, but I'd love it to be also showing folk out there watching this now to know that these spirit beings that we work with are just as human's not the right word for it, but they're just as personable as what we are. They've got their own characteristics, they've got their own ways of expressing. Some of them can be really stern, some of them have a laugh, and some of them are like, gosh, she's finally got it. It's really good to know, isn't it? You know, it's not that they're up there on this big pedestal and we have to bow down to them. It's certainly not in my experience. Even for me, when Goddess is coming through and she's been impatient with me, I can feel the nudges that are happening. And then once I get out of the road and that energy is coming through, it's like you just feel uplifted and you can hear her laughing in the background going, yeah, I got you today. And I really like that because then I can't be too serious about it not being disrespectful or anything like that. But if you start with your mind chatter going on about, oh, I should have done this, I should have done that, then that tends to interfere with the whole process rather than allow and have fun with it. They certainly want us to enjoy ourselves and have fun with it. The more we do that, the more the creation flows and it's a better day for everybody, I find.
That's exactly it. Yeah, the forerunner of the past life, the movie in the head, is Archangel Michael, the Lord of the Akashic Records. A huge being appears before me in this huge golden book, and he goes, thump, okay, which one? Right, we'll do this one. And that's the past life reading that comes through for the person that I'm working with, and then the movie starts inside my head. So,
okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so there's
Yeah,
all
it's a
sorts of
great
different
process.
ways where it works with us. It's
That's
magical.
it. And it just seems to, the more we be open to it and only having those beings of the Christ consciousness level or higher coming through, by the way, folk, don't just accept anything. I'm really strict on that one. You always check in and make sure who's coming through, and it must be that level or higher, because that energy of the Christ consciousness is so pure. And we want to have the best energy coming through, the best beings of love and light that we're working with, which I think is very important. Now, I'm just going to, I don't know what people are able to see when they're watching the screen with this, but I'm going to tell you all something that I'm witnessing now above Barbara's head. And I'm guessing that in everyday reality, it's probably like an air vent or something, but it keeps coming in for me to point it out, so I'm going to. I can see 4 strokes above your head, just slightly to your left. And what it looks like for me is the sacred number system of the 4 ones in this case. So new beginnings, new energies, new processes, new a whole lot of stuff. If I mention the sacred numbers to you, Barbara, I want to just weave and wind into that now. How do you react with numbers in the everyday world?
I see repeated numbers. So I go and look up what they're about, because
yep. So I want to
know
push Barbara a little bit this time. What I'm being guided to do is to gently nudge here and say, Barbara, if you go within, what does the 4 ones mean for you right here and right now as something that we can share with everybody out there? And I'm going to do the same when you've finished.
what they show me is that there's an archangel in each corner of the grid. Each one represents one of the ones. It's also the ability to work within a given moment with whatever is presented at that moment in time, and to trust to bring it through for the highest good of all. What needs to be worked with the person. And yeah.
Okay, beautiful. I'm loving that. I'm going to embrace that. Thank you. Okay, so I'm actually going to channel, and Barbara, when I've finished, you might have an interpretation of that you might or might not like to share. We'll just see how this all pans out now. But I'm feeling Goddess like really with me right now. So I'm going to channel. I'll translate where I'm allowed to. And just for everybody that's watching, at the moment we're going through the retrograde of a number of different planets, which can cause people to feel a bit wobbly. It can be playing games with issues with communication, for instance, whether you're talking about something like we're recording right now, or whether you're talking to your partner or your family, or trying to get a letter off to somebody and you just can't write the right words. So what's coming through right now for me, for Goddess, is a message to share with everybody to help us come into an alignment with the 4 ones, with the new beginnings that are being offered. So here we go. Here tunale te ishne te ianutu unale iatana. We are invited to come into our hearts. Yotunale ishne iatuna e hiana utuna, to see ourselves as the chalice, the well. Yotunale ishne iatuna e ia. We are at a crossroads. Yotunale hete pitine iutuna. We invite you, the humans, utunale ishne, to make your choice, to come from your heart. Yatunale ishne eete, as you walk your daily world, what is the gift that you have? Utunale ishna ete hiana. We urge you, we encourage you, utunale iana ishne, to see the bigger picture. Utunale iana patuna eshte, to not be one of the sheep. Utunale iana, to walk your path with light. Utuna eshne iana le iatuna. Ask the 4 archangels to come to you now. Utunale, we bless your journey. Yatuna. So Barbara, did you want to share anything that you experienced with
May I speak too?
Definitely in the
You have the gift of being able to communicate with other people and to share our radiance of song, of soul, of light, with your eyes we see you, with your eyes we connect, with our heart we do. Oh, Nani. Do not be frightened to turn, to hold, to rejoice, to hold hands, and to know that even small quantities of your beautiful beingness together with the intent will actually help. It will go out and expand and join with others. Always we say to you, look to your light, look to your heart, look to who you really are, and that is the connection of beingness within the love.
And it's just beautiful to be able to speak with another person that channels the language of love light. I just get really excited when that happens, and we can get to share that higher vibrational frequency energy, because even if we don't translate for people what's coming through, it's the actual sound frequency that touches your heart. And so each and every one of you that are watching will get your own message from this. You'll get your own experience, and that's part of the gift of it to you. So we offer it with love, from my heart to yours, and I'm sure from Barbara's heart to yours as well, so that we can help this planet to be this radiant, beautiful being that she is, and the human folk starting to do the right thing and looking after her a whole lot more than what's been happening in recent times over the last 500 or 600 years in particular. So Barbara, do you have anything else that you'd like to share with everybody? Just, I'm being the wild creative artist that I am, I want to encourage everybody to go out and have a couple of little projects. We've already given them an earlier one about going and connecting with 3 people and giving them a gift, you know, just because you can from your heart. So is there something creative that you might like to just invite everybody to participate on, and maybe they can come back to your Facebook page or mine later on and just show us something that they've created? So I'm going to hand it over to you, and then I'll offer my suggestion.
Okay. Well, what's coming to mind is that you create something that you can hang that reminds you of being able to connect to the 4, 5 elements, and to also put your energy of how you can help to actually get out there, even in the tiniest little bit of a thought during the day or anything else, to remind you to make this little thing that you can hang up that can connect and send out healing or prayers to those affected by world events that seem to be in the negative at this moment in time and are affecting people in not a very good manner or costing lives. Because that little talisman will allow you to stay connected to the prayer, to the mindfulness, and to the loving intent of us being able to do something, even if it's only what seems small, but it's not, because if enough people do it, it expands, just expands exponentially.
So are you thinking of something that's a sound thing like wind chimes, or are you thinking of something?
It can be a wind chime or a woven thing with feathers or anything like that. Anything that you can get hold of, even something out of your garden, because it's if it's your garden, if it's part of you, some of your hair, anything in it, something that's got elements in it that is actually really you.
Okay, so there's your challenge for Barbara. She wants you to create something that hangs, whether it's something that makes sound or it's something more visual. My challenge is going to be, given that most of us have some form of beautiful Android or iPhone type device these days. The mobile phones are out there everywhere. I want you to go out there and be a little bit visual with it, but you can do sound in a different way. So my challenge is going to be, and I invite you to post them to my Lynn Intuitive Shaman page, because I really want people to be creative and have a bit of fun, a bit of joy, laughter. Go out into nature and take some photos of things that you really love and cherish. Now, whether it happens to be your fur babies playing and doing what puppies or pussycats do, or your chickens, or whether you start doing the clouds and the moon, or people that you love, or just randomly taking photos and then picking the 4th best one for the day and go and post them up on my Facebook page. If you don't want to do the still photos, I'm certainly open to those people that are really brave and can get out there and do the live thing. I haven't quite figured out how to make it work properly yet. I seem to be a bit unco with that one, but we're getting there. So, you know, you might want to go and do, I'm good at being able to do the selfie sticks and I'll go to the beach and I'll just let the waves talk to me. So our way of sharing some love and joy might be that I go out to the beach and I get waves and I send a little video of that and put that on the page. So we want to invite all of you to create something visual or sound, either something to hang from Barbara or from me, something more in the pictorial or the video sense. And I'd like to see them up there on our page, and maybe we can share them with Michelle at Enlightened Conversations to put up on either Facebook or on her website, so that we're, through this little show we've done now, sharing out a whole lot of love, a whole lot of joy, a whole lot of laughter into the world. How does that sound?
Excellent. Well, my business page is Successive Vibrations, so they can do the same on that as well if they feel like it. Post things on there.
Beautiful. So we've got to wrap it up now. So Barbara, what I'd like you to do is tell everybody out there very quickly how they can get in contact with you via either email, phone, Facebook, social media, or your website.
Well, my Facebook business page is Successive Vibrations, and my email address is the same, except you take out 2 letters out of the middle of it, so it becomes one word, successivevibrations@gmail.com.
Beautiful. All right, and we'll have them up on the website to do with this particular episode when it goes to air next Wednesday night at 8 o'clock. So for myself, if you would like to get in touch with me, my website has, just look up rainbowlabyrinth.com and don't put any www in front of it. You can also find me on Facebook as Lynn Intuitive Shaman, or if you look me up for my own personal page, it's Lynn Smith, and in brackets Rainbow Lynn after that. Barbara, thank you so much for joining me today. It's been absolutely fantastic just sharing this space with you. I'm really, really grateful that you've jumped in and we've had a little play, and we'll look forward to seeing what folk out there actually start creating to share with you, me, and the world. So thank you, and have a blessed rest of your day.
Namaste.
Namaste. Thank you.